Hello, humans. It has come to my attention that I tend to be kind of slow talking and monotone, and I was thinking about that tendency because it's not really very me, and realizing that by narrating these in the middle of the night in a central hall closet in a house with 7 other people, I have unconsciously been talking slower and quieter and trying not to disturb anyone. So I have moved to the art cave, which still might disturb some people, but my father-in-law usually wears headphones at night, so maybe we'll be safe and I will disturb no one and all will be well and we can talk a little more naturally. Welcome to Sodium. When I painted this one, I still thought that the row under the blue row was going to be gray. Ultimately, that row turned out to be turquoise, so the gray at the bottom of her panel there is going to end up turquoisey. It'll blend beautifully. Don't you worry about it. Sodium embodies mischief because it's like the prankster's element. It explodes when you throw it into water, and that is the basis of many favored pranks among pranksters, I assume. I don't assume. I've heard. I've never been a prankster. I have always been good. But she's carrying a ham, and when I saw her in my head, I saw this extreme posture of carelessness and joyfulness, and she's a troll because she's an alkali metal. It's just below lithium. It is an essential nutrient. We need it for... oh, hell, what do we need it for? We need it to regulate our blood in various ways, and our pH. But, of course, as we know, a diet too high in sodium is really hard on the heart, so there's a balance that needs to be struck. Anyway, I've known plenty of mischievous people, but I don't think I've ever really been one. She doesn't look like the kind of little girl that I was, but she does look like the kind of little girl that I was friends with. I knew a bunch of girls like this. They were super fun to play with. I don't know. How would you define your own childhood, your own little girlness or small humanness? Like, I wasn't a princess, but I loved long flowy dresses. I wasn't a tomboy, but I loved riding my bike. I learned the hard way that you don't combine long flowy dresses with riding your bike. I had scab knees all summer. I loved climbing trees. I loved digging for treasure, but I also loved reading, like the summer reading program. That was my jam. I could read a dozen books a week. Just come up for air and meals. Let me know in the comments what kind of a child you were. Were you a mischief maker like Sodium? Or a pirate? Once again, when it came to faces, I turned to Froud for inspiration. Wendy and Brian are amazing, and I thought it would be nice if Sodium would fit well into any kind of party that their trolls were throwing, you see? From the very get-go, I saw her with these ponytails, and it isn't until later that I realized how the ponytails really ought to look, so we'll save that for later. I like her ears. Always remember, if you want more details on the intuitive read, the mischievous read, a sneak peek at the Oracle Companion book that I'm writing, go over to Patreon and fling $1 at me every month. I'm Bite the Paintbrush. Every Sunday I post the write-up for an element, so you could come along on the journey in all of the ways. Instagram, Patreon, YouTube. Come with me. Her dress is pink because of Himalayan sea salt lamps. I wanted it to look like that. Not glowing necessarily, as we've discussed. I don't really want any of them to be glowing unless they're actually radioactive. But Himalayan sea salt is really neat to look at, and I wanted that texture in the fabric of her dress. I don't know how old I would say this little girl is. She looks to be 9? Maybe I only say that because I have a 9-year-old who is blonde and mischievous. If I get this out on time, This will come out on my 40th birthday. Happy birthday to me! And that's, of course, if I get this out on time. What else do we know about sodium? Well, my original plan for the NA was to have na 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 around the edge of her skirt, and I decided that one na would probably be less confusing. So if you ever wondered why sodium is abbreviated Na, it's because natrium in Latin refers to Egyptian natron, which is a natural mineral salt consisting of hydrated sodium carbonate. Can you tell I'm reading off of Wiki? The ham there represents salt, like dietary salt, right? But dietary salt isn't just sodium, it's sodium chloride. And we haven't gotten to chlorine yet, but we will. Follow on Instagram, Robin's Elementals, if you want to see the progress as it happens in real time. Turns out that painting a ham from memory is very, very difficult, and I was not pleased with it until I busted out some photo reference. So the reason her hair is yellow now is because sodium, when it's dropped into water and it bursts into flames, it bursts into yellow flames. A lot of the elements arrived in my head finished, especially posture, composition. I just try to keep up. In this case, though, there were some basic things that don't change from beginning to end. It's not like you remember helium with the everything needed to change, the wings and the head and the tail and everything needed. But with sodium, she stays basically the same the whole time. But I do come in and swap out a bunch of details later. So, as we say, don't get too attached to some of the lines and colors and things you're seeing right here. They are apt to change. I feel like there's an argument for the case of, when in doubt, add more details. Maybe not if you're talking about impressionism or something, but when it comes to character design, details is good. Costumes, fantasy art, whatever it is, more details is better. Within reason. Eventually, I came in with an airbrush and made the pigtails glow like fire ought to. Here we are at the point where off camera I was like, it's too simple, it needs more details, more frills in the skirt, more translucence, her funky little ankle bracelets, the extra patches on the dress to symbolize the cubic crystal structure that sodium brings in. I gave her a slingshot because of course. Her hair got bigger, the ham got more real, and she has a belt now because you can't have a slingshot without something to tuck it into. And frankly, if I'd given her a pocket and stuck a slingshot in it, it wouldn't have looked like a slingshot anymore. It would have just been confusing. And now you know all my reasons. One thing I would love to see, you already know that I'd love to see fan art of my elements, maybe even like molecular fan art where you bring together, say, sodium and chlorine and have them dancing together to represent table salt. Like, that would be so adorbs. But I also have a kind of yen to see people cosplaying these. Wouldn't that be fun? It would be an absolute riot. And it might be fun to cosplay as sodium with yellow pigtails and the pink dress with Himalayan sea salt veins in it and the patches and a plate of ham. I don't know. Those of us who got it would be absolutely delighted. I would be the most delighted of all. If you ever get a yen to cosplay any of these characters, please tag me. I would love to see them. Same goes for fan art. Tag the hell out of me. I'm here for it. Stay healthy out there. Eat a ham. Raise some hell. I'll see you next week. Oh, incidentally, I went and checked the calendar again, Blue, because it seemed weird that the next holiday was on March 1st, because that's more than 2 weeks away. It is in fact tomorrow.
Oh.
The next holiday is tomorrow. It's Gremlintide. Gremlin is the crow god of protection. So you celebrate Gremlintide by reinforcing yes, by reinforcing any protections on your space, on your people, on your whatever, and that sort of thing. Also honor crows. Also sing and dance and light bonfires, but that's like every single Therian holiday.
Yeah.
And is this a leap year? This is a leap year.
Yes.
Okay. Then it's going to change. See, because the Therian holidays are all 2 weeks apart, they're on the same day all year, like every other Tuesday, every other Friday, whatever. Except on leap years when that jumps at the end of February. So like tomorrow's Sunday. So all of the Therian holidays so far this year have been on Sunday, and March 1st is Monday, I think, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And then from then on, for the rest of 2020, they will all be on Mondays. Every other Monday will be a reason to celebrate. I should make a big book or something. It's actually been on my list for many years. But that is our sodium, as she stands. She is a funny little munchkin. And so are you. And so am I.